Ayo, like, subscribe, let's go.
Kevin Samuels was a polarizing individual, no doubt about that. Wherever he went, there he was. And when he went live on YouTube or debated people on podcasts, he shook up the room.
So when I first seen him, he was on BGS Idmore's channel, and he would come up there for like 10 or 15 minutes and say a few words. I also seen him in the chat room a lot on O'Shea Duke Jackson's channel on the Sunday Rumble, which used to be wild as hell, yo.
That was just the kind of man he was. He did it without begging for GoFundMes or Patreons or PayPals. He just did it with the facts, charm, charisma, and style. And he left it on the internet. He didn't go around talking about people or causing problems. He just did what he had to do, and that was that. And so when he passed away on May 5th, 2022, there were a myriad of haters that came out after him.
When Kevin Samuels blew up, he was the most hated man by black women. They hated him more than Donald Trump. And then after he passed, you had women dancing all over the internet, crip walking. It was wild, man. It was crazy, yo.
Now, some of those haters were guys who were hating on him while he was still living, and they flipped the script and acted like they was his friend once he passed away. We all know who those people were. But for the most part, I want to give a shout out to those idiots who kept that same energy. One of those people who was very nonchalant about it was a guy by the name of Kev on Stage.
Who?
Now, Kev on Stage is some sort of internet comedian. I'm not necessarily sure what he does. He's been making these sorts of, like dusty clips for over, 10 years. And he's channeled that particular situation to a podcast that nobody really cares about. But despite that fact, he was one of the guys hating on Kevin Samuels. And I want you guys to remember this clip that he put right after Kevin Samuels' death that I thought was very disrespectful, him and his female host. Let's check it out.
Once it was kind of confirmed, there was on Twitter basically reveling in the digital streets.
Oh, dancing.
I'm talking about people
Dancing.
pulled out kazoos.
Uh-huh.
They had cakes.
They had bouncy houses.
They had bouncy. They were.
This man has caused so much strife.
This is literally the first time I've seen this clip as I'm recording this right now. I remember back when Kevin Samuels was live and you would see like those keywords like Kevin Samuels exposed. And I remember clicking on one of their videos and they were just hating on him so bad that I just clicked off of it.
And has inflated men's heads to like they are, what was those things they used to float through the sky real big, but they blow up?
Blimps?
Yes.
That's good, Angel.
I was like, what?
You might be the first person I ever thought who couldn't come up with the word blimp.
What's the one that blew up?
The Goodyear blimp?
No. The
Heisenberg or Heisenberg?
Yeah, I think so.
Heisenberg is Breaking Bad.
I was gonna say that
Hindenburg.
word. Hindenburg is what I was thinking of.
I know it Hindenburg. Start with H and Hindenburg.
That's booty tape
That's
for
the
you.
word I was looking for. Hindenburg. It has really had men out here truly believing that it is okay. And I mean, men were doing this stuff before him, but he really popularized it. Making women who are of a certain age or of a certain look feel as though they are worthless.
Nobody told those chicks to call in though, right? They want to get up there 300 pounds with 6 kids, divorced, and talk about they want a 6-figure man. That's on them.
So it's kind of hard to be saddened that he gone.
Yo, this big bitch disrespectful as fuck.
Yeah.
That their leader is no longer here. What are you going to do? What is high value man?
Value man.
What are you going to do? That sounds, first of all, it sounds like a generic drink.
High value man?
High value.
Let me get that high value man.
That's most extraordinary. That's Dos Equis.
A high value man sounds like I couldn't afford the Pepsi, but I got the high value pop.
That's the Shasta.
Yes.
The Shasta man.
You
Now, speaking of high
Walmart?
value man, here's rumor.
Come on, give it to me.
No, actually not rumor. All the things said that he passed away in an apartment he was subleasing or subletting.
Of course.
Which I will just say, I thought that because he was always high value man, he was the high value man. I thought he would have, maybe he had multiple homes and he just happened to be up in the apartment. But I know the prices of the homes here in Los Angeles. I know the prices of the homes there in Atlanta. If you was a high value man, living in Atlanta, you probably should have been in a home. From the way you were speaking about high value men, I assume you were of the ilk of the high value.
You remember he used to shoot in that little dark corner with the light not even on him?
Yeah, I don't.
Where your high value lights? Turn up the Kelvin, because it's too low. I don't want to revel over a man's death. However, he added nothing to the world but hatred.
Yeah, whatever. So this is the first time I'm watching this. I'm going to go ahead and let O'Shea take this out, and I'll give my thoughts at the end.
But oh, how the mighty have fallen. Mr. Kev on stage probably thought he would get some more eyeballs on him once Kevin passed. And so many content creators did exactly just that. But guess what? Nobody gave a damn about Kev on stage, really. And so Kev on stage started to decline. And now he made this video begging for help. Now stop the show. You will never see Kevin Samuels do what Kev on stage is about to do, but we're about to hear some real begging so he can keep his operations open. Let's play that clip.
Yeah, I wanted to clear something up real quick. I realized I said this at length on Patreon, but I didn't address it in the public. So as you've noticed, I've been promoting Patreon more and more, especially the last week or so, and I never really said why. So I'll just be upfront with you like I was with the Patreon yesterday. Podcast revenue has been down around 70% for me in all my podcasts. Josh, Angel, and Greg's salaries are dependent on podcast revenue, and it used to be tremendously lucrative, and I was able to pay them and all that type of stuff, but it's downturned tremendously. So instead of having to lay them off or reduce their salaries, I decided to give the Patreon audience and you an opportunity to help basically save their jobs. I'm not even, to put it plainly, in order to help keep them on payroll, I'm going to offer more stuff on Patreon, more shows, more exclusive content, things like that. I asked my Patreon if they could increase their monthly gift by $2 or $3, and I'm asking more people to join so that I can continue to keep these people on payroll and other creators around be able to help them do what they do, pay some of their bills as well. One question I get a lot is, what about the app? What's going to be on Patreon? What's going to be on the app? I'll always make the distinction on what's going to be on the Patreon and what's going to be on the app. But the people I mentioned, Josh, Angel, Greg, they don't work for the app. So what the app doesn't directly affect them. They work for the podcast part of Kev on Stage.
Hey, yo, why they say Kev on Dust?
Studios, and that's the part that's been hit the hardest. And also the Patreon, as a result of starting the app, was also hit very hard. It dropped tremendously. So I used to be able to supplement their salary even when podcasts dropped by Facebook revenue or Snapchat or whatever. But if you hear in the news, Facebook says they're not paying creators anymore, Instagram's not paying for reels anymore, things like that, that's where that supplemental income was coming. So I really don't have the extra businesses to offset that. So I told the Patreon, I'll tell you, if you want to continue to see these podcasts and see all that stuff, then it's gonna have to come from people like you. Otherwise, I just won't be able to sustain it personally.
My, Kev on Stage, how the mighty have fallen. It's very interesting that you would actually put yourself on camera and say something like this. Dusty! How pathetic can you actually be, in my honest opinion? And this is one of the reasons why I'm saying pathetic. Content creators, and I believe Anton Daniels talked about this, are making not less money than before. Making more money than before. Literally with Facebook and Snapchat and all the other opportunities, you can have all that you want. The problem is Kev on Stage is not that good. That's the real issue. And I'm not saying that he's not good because I don't like the guy. I'm saying that he's not that good because he says what? Well, he's lost 70% of his income. That means that he's not that good. If you lose 70% of your podcast, you're not that good. Or Other people are just better than you.
Yeah, you put out that energy like that, you know, you hating on a man after his death. You know, that's wild. But O'Shea's right. You know what I mean? You got to put in the work, improve your content every day, get your skills up, because in a couple years, YouTube is going to be the new TV. I mean, regular cable TV in the US is already down at like 20%, less than 20%. YouTube is the future. So yo, I'm going to leave a link to the video in the description so you can watch the full video. Shout out to O'Shea. Like, subscribe. Peace.